What's up, everyone? All right, so here we are, Thursday morning, up $1,700. Second green day in a row, and let's see, in the last 8 days, I've had 7 green days. So that's solid. I'm happy with that. I would, like to have not lost $1,400 on Tuesday, but at this point, I've made it back. So that's whatever. That's water under the bridge. Now it's just time to keep grinding, and grinding is exactly what's happening this month. It's small winner here, small winner there. The biggest problem with that is the average winners are really small. And it's because we're not seeing that feeding frenzy, the exuberance where a stock goes up 5, 10, 15, 20, 25%, gets halted and opens higher, continues higher. We've seen it a couple times, but for the most part, it's this sort of subdued, kind of lazy price action. And that's, it's not just, it's a little typical of August, but it's also just sort of typical of a little bit of a lull before the next hot streak. So my job right now is just to try to continue to book profits, be consistent, and not allow myself to have one big loss, because that one big loss will wipe out 5 or 6 of these small winners. I can grind on small winners, but not if I have big losses. So I've got to be that much more diligent about A quality setups, getting in, taking profit, getting out quickly, and not overstaying my welcome. So I did today, pat on the back for that, and I want to do it again tomorrow so I can finish up this week strong and feeling good. All right, so you guys enjoy the recap. Any questions, any comments, leave them below, and I'll come back and answer them later today. All right, enjoy. All right, everyone, so we're going to break down the trades from today. Another pretty slow day. We're definitely in this kind of lull of mid-August trading, and it's okay. I'm up $1,700. That's certainly not a bad day. It's just, it's slow, and I'm not seeing these big winners. Even 2 weeks ago, I was having, even last week, I had a couple back-to-back really great days. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I made $12,000 between those 3 days. Back in July, I was having back-to-back $5,000, $10,000, $8,000 days. So these $1,700 days certainly feel small in comparison, but at the end of the day, it's profit. And like I said yesterday, if you can just manage to keep your head above water and to stay green during this type of market, you're doing really well. So the 2 stocks I trade today, TIS and BOXL, neither of them were on the watch list this morning. The watch list was actually pretty light. Every day, for us starts the same way, going through the gap scanners. So I'll go to historical data on this. We'll run this for 9:15 a.m. And you'll see exactly what I was seeing this morning when I got up and I was getting ready to trade. So, we had ANW, SMMT, SPCB. The problem with ANW is that the float's 32 million shares. That's a little on the high side. SMMT was interesting. SPCB, so-so. GSM floats too high. EVOK, Zoe's price is too high. Float too high. Float too high. Float too high. Float too high. Not enough volume. So, basically, price is too high. Float's too high. Float's too high. So pretty much these were the only ones that were even sort of interesting. And that's never a good thing when you're pulling up your gap scanner and there's nothing that looks awesome. So ANW, I pretty much was like, I don't think I'm interested because the float's too high, but I do like the pre-market chart. Pre-market, this is a bull flag. So if it breaks over 260, I'm interested. So I had the order ready to go at 260. The bell rings and what happens? It sells off. So it doesn't trigger an entry for me. In fact, it shows 2 pretty clean bear flags there. I'll actually grab screenshots of that for our class. But definitely not strong to the long side. So no trades on that one. SMMT, pre-market chart was only so-so. It was already starting to stair step down. And it just continued when the bell rang. It did pop up for a minute, but it's continued lower. So that one was no good. SPCB, this one, not enough volume pre-market, and it just kind of is sold off. So this was one of those days where I had a couple that I was watching, but didn't get any follow through and didn't get any trades on them. So then we had TIS. This one popped up and When it first popped up, it wasn't on the scanner until $3, and that's because this is one of those times where the very high relative volume from this day right here ended up making it so this stock today didn't have high relative volume until it was finally breaking over $3. But as you can see, it squeezed up from 260 to 3. So this is one of the areas where I do think my scanners could use a little bit of work. It's just, if I reduce the relative volume metric on this, then the problem is, oh, is screen share frozen? Yeah, I see that. Interesting. What I'll do is I'll just screen share my main screen here, even though I wouldn't normally do it. I'll just do it like this for those of you guys in chat. Okay, so yeah, so anyways, so TIS, the problem is if I decrease the relative volume filter, then what's going to happen is lower quality stocks will be on the scanner. So I kind of don't want to change these scanner settings, but I am aware of the fact that when we have instances like this where you have a big breakout, for sure this is going to be on the scanner on this day. But then on these days, the relative volume is always lower because it's factoring in the high volume from the initial breakout day. So in any case, I saw it on the scans at 3, but I saw it earlier because someone called it out in the room at $2.83. And initially I was like, not sure I trust it, but I'll give it a stab. And so I ended up jumping in at 90. I got filled at 95. I had my order at 3. It pops up to 309 right through here. It breaks through 3, pops up to 312. I sold 1,500 shares at 309. I tried to sell at 311 and 309, and I didn't get filled, so I had to cancel my orders. That's me trying to sell on the ask to get the best exit. So I had to cancel all those orders. Ended up hitting the bid at 306. Or actually, no, I got on the ask at 306. The price dropped down here to, I don't know, 302 or something like that. So I'm on the ask. I get a partial fill at 306, a fill at 305, and I'm trying to just kind of unwind the position. And then I added back at 309 as it started to surge back up right here. So again, for those of you that are in the class, these two candles right here, this is a micro pullback. It might not look like it because it's just 2 green candles in a row, but it is. Now, if we break this down, let's see, let me duplicate this window just for a second. Did that? Oh, it was really taking its time to think about it. So I'm going to change this one to a 10-second chart. All right. Now, again, I don't trade off 10-second charts. I just use them when I'm trying to show you guys stuff that I was doing in the middle of the day. So let's back this up here. All right, so what I said was that this right here is a 1-minute micro pullback. So now we're going to dial that in and look at that little window of time. Okay, so what you see here is it popped up to 312. That's the high of this candle right here. So this was the high. It then pulled back. This is a micro pullback. And I added at 309 as I started to see volume coming back in and it curling and moving higher. All right, so I'm in there. It pops up to 319. I ended up selling at 311, 312, and then I added back at 317 and 320. When I added back, that was right here on this little micro pullback. It popped up to 323. It did not hold that level, and so I stopped out at 320 and 319. So this trade was a small loser. Actually, no, that trade might have been a small winner. Small winner on that trade. So let's back this up. So a small winner here, a small winner here, and a good size win right here on this one when I got in at 95 or whatever that was. So, or actually I think I got in a little bit before that. It tapped 3, it pulled back for a second. There was a 20,000 share seller at 3, and then finally it broke through that level. So I actually got in like right here. Anyway, so that was TIS, and it ended up squeezing a little bit higher, hit a high of 25. I did get back in. It dipped down right here. And then as it surged back up, I got back in because sometimes that fakes out early short sellers. So on that one, I got back in at 23 with 3,000 shares. It didn't hold up very well. And so I got out at 24 and 22. All right, so those were the trades on TIS. Next one was BOXL. This one we were kind of watching just because it had a pretty big day yesterday. And I thought it was worth watching for continuation. I wasn't sure it would really work, but evidently it's really sold off quite a bit here. But anyways, pre-market, it was kind of holding up there, and then it put in this little pre-market candle with a pop up to 537. All right, so the bell rings, and it pops up to 560 right here, and then it pulls back. And then right here, I decided to get in for the first 5-minute candle to make a new high, which was right here. So as this candle made a new high, I was getting in at 543 and 550 for the break of the first candle to make a new high. I was in a little high. It pops up to 568, and I sold half at 559, and then ended up selling more at 60. Again, having a really hard time getting out of this one on the ask. Ended up hitting the bid, selling the rest at 46. Then it goes sideways for a few minutes and it curls, and I get back in for the break over 66. So that was right here for the break of high a day. So I get back in at 66. I try to sell it at 73 because immediately, even though it pops up, it doesn't feel strong. It ends up squeezing up to 590, but it just was not easy to trade. I was just getting tons of partial fills. I got back in at 585, 590, and sold at 590 because it didn't really convincingly break that level. Hit a high of 595, and I think my best exit was like 93. Oh, actually, no. It was... I tried to sell at 93, and it didn't get filled, so I guess 90. So in any case, I just felt like at this point, I had taken like 5 or 6 trades. None of them were big winners. They were all kind of these little small wins. And, the problem with that is one loss with 6,000 shares could give back half of my profits like that. I mean, it really could happen fast. So, I was like, at this point, I'm just going to throw in the towel. It's getting close to 10:15. As we got to 10:30, I just said, no, I'm going to be done. I'm not going to push my luck. I can always come back if something really shows strength, but I think I'm going to, do the smart thing, book the profits, and of course I'll, be back at it tomorrow. So $1,700 is good. That's green. $1,700 a day keeps the real job away, so that's great news. It's the 151st trading day of the year. Still averaging about $2,600 a day, which is good. I've had some days last week that were well above the average. Monday was above the average. The last 3 days have been a little below my $2,600 average, but at the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal because I know I'll make it up on a hot streak, a little further down the line, whether it's later this month or it's in September or whatever. A lot of traders have been asking me about this sort of slow summer trading, how long will it last, and generally this type of trading, it goes kind of, we'll have a couple of slow weeks, and then all of a sudden you'll have something that brings out this new round of momentum. GBR last month, or in July, this certainly brought in a pretty big round of momentum as traders really were just, feeding frenzy on this move from $1.50 up to 12. Of course, AWX, followed. So I'm sure that if we start to see something like this happening, where a stock is really strong and then it's strong the next day, and the next day, that'll bring traders out. If we end up seeing, SEC filings about Form 3s or Form 4s or whatever it is, that might, make people a little hesitant. KBSF, as soon as that 13D was out, this thing sold off hard. So it's like, it's kind of funny how the 13D creates this move pre-market and then rolls over so hard. It's sort of bizarre. It doesn't just roll over pre-market. Like obviously with PTIE yesterday, there was a secondary offering, and this thing after hours or pre-market, whatever it was, drops. It goes from $2 to $1. And you'd almost think that would happen with the 13D or the Form 4 because of what you've seen here, but for whatever reason, they move after hours, and then it's when the bell rings that they really dive. So AWX was another good example. It was strong pre-market, and then, actually, I'd have to go a little further back. But anyways, so, it'd be kind of interesting to see what the next one is going to be that really catches traders off guard and becomes a big mover. I can't wait for it because we've definitely been a little slow for the last, week or so. But being patient is an important skill to learn as a trader. So, reminder, guys, today, 1 p.m. Eastern, in like an hour and a half, we're going to start our last online training workshop for the month of, it's the last one for the summer. Well, if you consider the summer, June, July, and August, which I think I kind of do. So that's going to be 1 p.m. Eastern. I put the link for you guys to register in the announcements tab. And for those of you on Facebook, I put it in the description. So would love to have you guys be there. If you've attended one of our workshops or webinars in the past, this is certainly going to be pretty similar. But, I always try to add some new things and stuff like that. And if you've never attended one, I would love to have you join. Okay, so that's coming up at 1 o'clock today, and then we'll be back at it first thing tomorrow morning, pre-market analysis around 9:15, and hopefully we'll see a couple of decent setups, and we can finish the week with a couple green trades. Finishing the week last week with $2,800 or so on Friday. I think that's I don't know if that's a 0 or a 6, but in any case, that was a nice way to finish the week, and I'd love to finish the week here with a green trade tomorrow. So I'll definitely be hunting for the momentum in the morning, and hopefully we'll see something to trade. All right, so that's it for me. I will see you all. Hopefully I'll see a bunch of you guys at 1 o'clock during the workshop, and the rest of you I'll see tomorrow morning. All right, thanks everyone. If you're still watching, you must have really enjoyed that video. So why not subscribe and get email alerts anytime I upload new content? Remember, when you subscribe, you become a member of the Warrior Trading family.